Let's get it to it. This is about graffiti, sticker culture, art, passion, and being true to yourself. This is the 5-2 Together High What interview. Let's go. Let's get it. All right. We got something fun for you guys today, man. It's my first interview ever as a content creator. First interview ever, period. I've anyone that's known me to make content over the years, I've been able to have conversations, hold convos with people, but I've never actually set out to make a formal interview. So this is exciting for me. Something new. You guys can kind of see a different side of what I'm into, especially this gentleman we'll be talking to today. Definitely respect him in terms of the type of content he's created over the years, documentaries that's been put out, grinding along the years as an artist. I mean, without further ado, let's go ahead and just get it started. How you doing, my brother? We got my brother What in the building today.
What's up, man? Thank you for inviting me. I'm super humbled to be on the platform. This is kind of the first for me as well, and I'm chilling, man. I'm very excited to get this interview going, kind of hear what you got for me, and just put out some content for your listeners out there.
For
I'm
sure. And
super
I'm
humbled. Thank
glad.
you.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'm just appreciative. Just the way, we were doing a little pre-production before we started, but just speaking to how far technology and the internet has come to where, two brothers like us, both from New York, you're now in Miami, Florida area. I'm in Houston, Texas, but we could interact over the internet, realize, we're of like minds into some of the similar cultures and what I mean, hip hop, art, sticker art, graffiti, and start forming a working relationship. You know what I mean? It's dope to see that this is a possibility, man. So clap it up for that.
For sure, man. I'm like, man, like you said, the culture for the culture, I've been building since I feel like I've been building since I was a little kid. My first experience of like being part of the culture was obviously like breakdancing, and then like I think it was B Street that kind of did it for me. I said B Street, and I saw them doing graffiti, and that was it, man. I started doing graffiti since then, and just developed my own little style and technique throughout the years, um, and really build my home out of living in Miami. It's particularly a neighborhood called Hialeah. It's like one of the biggest Latin communities that houses many Cubans and Colombians, especially in the '80s. So and now leaping forward into the future with the internet and just trying to capture an audience with that with some of my content. So super humbled, to be on here and be able to collaborate with you and just talk about some of the things that we're into and some of the things I'm actually creating and possibly what the future is for this.
For sure, man. I mean, let's get it started. You just mentioned as a little kid is when you kind of realize this is what you were into. You kind of formed the passion about it. Do you remember at what age or what was that one thing that stuck out to you? I know you mentioned Beach Street, but what specifically about it that just, caught your attention and you realized, hey, man, this is what I want to do?
I don't know. It was just something with the whole aesthetic of writing graffiti. Just that hand style was what kind of caught me. Creating your own kind of signature, and then just kind of being a little ADD about things, and just going out there and writing it repetitively. And it was just a thing that brought me like kind of peace and comfort. And I just kind of just built on that. Of course, writing my name everywhere and anywhere. Um, you know, I would like mark on any service I was able to with whatever I had in my hands, whether it was a pencil, a crayon, a marker.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I feel that, man, for sure, because something just stuck out once you mentioned, just the repetitiveness of tagging your name. It's kind of a bit of ADHD comes into there. I relate to that so much, and it's probably why I've always formed interest in arts and graffiti because I was never someone that was able to, I've never been able to draw or even keep a steady hand and get something done especially in terms of graffiti. But my outlet, I realized, ended up being music production because it's similar in which it's a lot of repetition,
For
tons of
sure.
repetition. So
Yeah,
that's just
especially if you're
cool.
making beats, especially if you're making beats and playing on that board. And I mean, there's more to it, but the repetitiveness and, the repetitiveness, ended up creating a certain style that I had, when it came to graffiti, and eventually developing, my own style, my own characters, and just kept running with it. I mean, graffiti itself, I feel it's something like, once you have it in you, it's like the desire need to have to write on every single thing, find a way to write on something with something, figure it out. And then the way that we look at the city and the landscapes, we look at it as a canvas versus like, oh, hey, look, that's just a stop sign. We look at it like, yo, that's a stop sign. I got a few stickers. They're going to look pretty good on there. And then, you know, put them up. So graffiti, doing graffiti has so many things that incumbent on how you can do it, and learning each of those things and mastering them have been, a great journey because you realize how creative you can get with, even making your own markers or developing your own way to, put up stickers, etc. So
No,
it's been a
100%.
yeah, it's been a dedicated thing. And um the new generation now is taking it up to another level, and that's cool to always see like what we kind of learned from the past and then kind of built on, and now seeing what the newer kids are doing. It makes you happy that the culture's still around and it's still kind of incumbents full circle hip hop itself.
For sure, man. I mean, I remember I've always been just thinking back to high school, fascinated with the kids that would be able to tag just their styles. I would just see them write their names in different ways. Now, I want to ask, you go by what? Is there any significance to the name, or do you remember when that came to you, or was it something that just always was manifesting itself in your head and your first tag, you just knew what you wanted to put?
No, so the history on that, what WHUT, I basically pronounce it like what with an A, but just with the U. A lot of people always ask, oh, what does it mean? Is there an acronym? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, no, and basically the origins of that is, you know, in my early days of writing, I wrote all types of things, but when I started establishing myself really well in perfecting a style was like when I was in kind of middle school. And I had a little crew that we formed. It was called Wanted Hoods. And then later, when we went to high school, we became um, we ended up changing the name from Wanted Hoods to TFS, and then from TFS it became BM, Buddha Monks, Blunt Masters. And then
Mm.
I was writing something else, and then I went to a Redman concert when Redman dropped, like I think his second album. He was doing a tour, and I believe this was like a little bit right after Hurricane Andrew. Um, I'm at the concert. He throws me a promo record. I get the record. I get home. I look at the album. It says "What the album?" If you're familiar with Redman and you're a fan, you know that that album is legendary. And I just looked at it and I said, "Yo, I'm gonna change my name to what?" And that was about '92. And from '92 and then I just kept on writing "What." And then eventually I added the 213. If you notice, like my Instagram says what 213. And
Mhm.
basically that's just representing the crew that me and my homies began started back in the days. We ended up changing the name in the 2000s to Brilliant Minds. And what really came from Redman's album that inspired me so much because at the time, I was just trying to figure out a way to write something, but to make it unique. And I guess using the U in place of the A, I was like, yo, that sounds dope. And then everybody fucked with it. So here we are, and yeah, that's the origins of that.
Hey man, shout out to Redman, Reggie Noble,
For
Brick
sure,
City's
man.
finest. That's what's up, man. And it's just
Superman
dope.
lover.
Yeah, hey, it's dope to hear that with everything, hip hop culture is always the catalyst and the baseline for almost any type of, I guess you would call it a subculture, but now graffiti and sticker culture is so mainstream now. But it originally started as what they call a quote unquote subculture. Because hip hop started out as that, and you look at where hip hop is now, it's international, it's global. So
Yup.
it's always a phenomenal thing to hear how much hip hop can be inspiring. It's something as simple as you going to that concert, you getting that promo record, taking it home, and actually resonating with it. So much so to where it stuck out to make you want to start tagging. This became you. You made it your persona.
Yeah, man, and I can't lie. Back in 2009, my wife at the moment had told me, you know, start doing your graffiti again. It's dope, blah blah blah. And so were my friends too, but I was like, nah, man, I was too, caught up in work, you know.
Yeah.
And then I just got home one day and I just sat there and I just started playing around with the computer and I figured out, you know what? I'm gonna go back to some of the roots that were, part of graffiti, which was making stickers, but now I got a computer. I can make graphics. And at the time, me and my good homie Lex, we just started collaborating and we started making the stickers that I've shown you and the stickers that you can see on my Instagram, and just like bugging out, and like sometimes it's a political message, sometimes it's just our name, sometimes it says something like serious, sometimes it might not, sometimes it may say something that'll make you laugh, and that like kind of evolved so huge that um we kind of like realized there's this whole other subculture attached to graffiti as well, which is sticker art. And that kind of segment helped me segue into being into art galleries, because I started doing sticker collages with the record, with hip hop records, and just making canvases with collages with stickers. And I believe I was one of the first ones to kind of introduce stickers into art galleries in Wynwood, down here in Miami, which is the art district, in the very, very like early days what of what street art and graffiti were merging out of that neighborhood, because there was graffiti that actually already existed there, and slowly it started building because of popularity of the art district. And now it's like so big, you go out there and you see stickers everywhere, and stickers itself, you know they're so popular because it's like a branding, and if it gets familiar enough, I mean, you can take that and you can become a brand. So that aspect of graffiti, and like learning that and understanding that, like, we just created this whole, we not just myself, but other people across the world have created this other door that you know people can go out there and create and do graffiti in a different style, and everybody's adapted to it too. So it's been kind of great, kind of learning that. And that was kind of like my woo-ha moment, when I came back, and I felt good because people actually liked it, and then I just keep going with it, and I'm still here doing it.
Hey, no, that's what's up. Woo-ha. Shout out to Buster, man. I remember you sent me your YouTube video that I watched. Dope video of you. You mentioned the sticker collage art. I think that shit is so brilliant, man. Until you showed me that, I can say I've never seen anyone do it. You showed me, the vinyl that you made with the Thurston Howland, with the collage on the vinyl record, and then the surfboard. Just going over it, you said it was almost over 1,000 stickers on the surfboard alone. I thought
Yep.
that was just such a brilliant way to showcase and tell a story through stickers, because the gentleman that was interviewing you for the doc, you every sticker that was pointed to, you remembered specifically the story behind it, and who the sticker was from. I thought that was brilliant because I'm familiar with sticker collages. Like I have my MacBook where I threw a bunch of stickers on. I can't tell you who the sticker was made by. I just have a sticker book that last time me and my lady was in New York, I got it from the MoMA. I can't tell you who made these stickers. I mean, I can look at the back of the book and it does say Lawrence King Sticker Bomb World, but I don't know the story behind that. I have no idea. So I thought it was just super interesting that every sticker you've showed me or you've went over, it's a story behind it. You can tell me the artist, what it represents. And something else you mentioned, stickers, they tell a story. And specifically for me, I remember being a producer. I still produce music, but you know, going in that grind of trying to make it as a producer, and you have people that you collaborate with that are artists, and you end up forming a crew. My first thing that I always wanted to do was like subconscious almost. I wanted to make stickers. You mentioned it. I always thought stickers was the best way to brand yourself without doing too much. The sticker told the story for itself. You didn't really have to explain anything. You have a sticker, it has a message or a logo on there. You stick it somewhere, and it's up to whoever views it to feel how they feel about it. So, man, just going back to that doc, you said, "What is my name? Slapping stickers is the game, man." I thought
Yeah,
that
I
was such a
came up
cool
with that.
quote.
Thank you. That was off the top of the dome. That whole doc was barely edited.
Mm-hmm.
The dude on the doc doing the doc, that's my homie Carlos. He actually shaped and made the surfboard. So that's why the surfboard for me is a whole different thing because me and him kind of grew up around the same circles in the same neighborhood, Hialeah. And then,
Mm-hmm.
just when I started getting into art again and then putting myself out there, but on a little more commercial level, I would say, me and him were talking in the studio and he's like, yo, me and you love stickers. Why don't I shape a surfboard? Because he actually has a company that makes boards, custom boards. He goes, I'm gonna make it for you, all the details he kind of told me, and then he's like, all right, now go to this boat marine supply and buy the epoxy, and then when you bring me the epoxy, I'm gonna give you the surfboard, and then you just work on it however long it takes you. And that was at that moment of time, circa maybe I don't remember what year that doc was, maybe 2017 could have been. But prior to that, most of the stickers that are on there, that's like 10 to 12 years of sticker collecting. And that was like a lot of it was also prior to the insurgence of Instagram. We were all on Flickr .com, and we were basically in just different rooms, meeting people and trading our PO boxes, and having our stickers distributed literally all over the world. So it was kind of like a pen pal system. And then like as I started collecting stickers, I started doing the collages on the records. And then the surfboard. My boy was like, "Let's do a surfboard. No one's ever done one." And boom, we did it. We completed it. He did what he had to do after it, and then he was like, "Yo, let's do a documentary." And I'm like, "All right, let's do it." And then that's how that came about. And it's there in my crib chilling. It's a piece that I hold to my heart. Like you said, like every sticker has a story, and for me, it's a really, really cultural conversation piece, and it kind of blends, like subcultures together and kind of unites them because surfing and skateboarding kind of share the same wave, but they also are somewhat part of hip hop as well. So kind of blending that all together and bringing it together, for me, it's a masterpiece. It's one of the biggest pieces I've made since that moment. So like I was really humbled that, somebody that actually owned a real company wanted to collaborate with me. And, we just been waiting for the right moment to kind of showcase it and get it out there, even if it takes another 20 years, because the truth is like there's only one and that's it. And there'll never be another one. And even if there is another one, it won't be the same and it won't tell the same story. So I appreciate you on that, man. I mean, it was a great project, and I hold it to my dear heart.
Yeah, it was impressive to see, man. Just you mentioned it in the doc, but if you can tell our listeners today, how long did it take you to make it? Over 1,000 stickers, real life size surfboard. What
Yeah.
was your process in starting?
So my process was just kind of like sorting through, I literally throwing all the stickers I had on the floor and basically just like, sorting through them, looking at things that kind of bring attention to people's eyes, and also, artists that are very well known. A lot of those stickers, like they've been given to me by the artists themselves, or either I've, from time to time I bought like, from the MoMA I've bought stickers. You can now buy stickers. There's places to buy stickers. So um I would just like try to find the most unique ones and then kind of put them together. And then as I would build on it, I would realize, man, if I add this one here and this one here, but it's got to be like this specific sticker. It kind of like reads a story. And, it was just a lot of work, a lot of sorting, a lot of kind of like, there's no editing what I was doing. Once you put it on, it was on. So the only other way to fix something is if you cover it entirely. And I tried to not do that because some of the stickers, meant a lot to me. Um, and it took about 6 weeks, maybe roughly six
Wow.
weeks, I believe. I wasn't working it on it every day because I had to take a break. I got my day job, and I'm a family man, so I had to kind of like make time for it throughout. But took me about 6 weeks, and then it took us about another couple weeks to get it you know epoxy. So there's like five or six layers of epoxy clear coat on that, and you got to have like a special room to be able to like, it cures very well. But it's very impressive if you ever get to see it in person. I mean, it's it's amazing. And I like I said, man, it was fun to do it, and I realized I can probably put stickers on anything now.
Hey, that's dope, man. That was like, honestly, that was it stood out. Now the vinyl for sure, because I've started a vinyl collection recently, so that stuck out. But then when I seen the surfboard, I just it was mind blowing because I've never seen something like that ever before. So that was just dope to even see that, man. I
Yeah,
do
and
want to say,
another. Go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
Yeah, and I sent you those one of the pictures that was like a pink stadium chair, and that one, that's from the Miami Marine Stadium. If you ever get a chance to look that up, it's a very important piece of Miami's history. And I was, blessed from one of my friends to kind of pick me for that project. Um, and it's actual a piece of historical art, you know, art that I made on it now. The chair itself was made, I believe, in the 1950s. So it was given to me to repurpose, and I made that. And between that and the surfboard, those two right there, like really like, my holy grails. Um,
Got it.
they
Would you
they
say
tell a
those are
lot of
like your
stories.
two most meaningful pieces?
For sure, for sure. I put a lot of time into them. The chair itself, represents, Miami, like the old Miami. So being asked to be part of that, and it also being part of a collection in the history of Miami Museum, like those are like my two pieces of resistance.
Hey, that's what's up, man. You kind of led to my next question. I was going to ask. You mentioned the Wynwood art district and art galleries. You mentioned the museum. Is there one place that your art has been showcased in that made you feel that moment of, hey, man, I'm legit. Actually, I've actually done it.
Yeah, I mean the chair itself, that's I did the stadium itself had different types of seatings. So they had like these plastic chair backs that were bolted on. So that was the first chair that I did, but it's really like a piece of a chair. And that piece I did my character, and that's part of the history of Miami's collection. You know, their museum, they own that. Um, you know, it's documented historical, you know, artifact, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, man, like to me, it made me feel really good that, you know, I'm not just this artist, but like I'm really living you know, kind of a dream, you know, like I wasn't expected, like as a graffiti writer, like you don't really care to get famous, you just want to get your name up, and you know people are gonna, you know, you're gonna get famous from your name alone if you get it up enough, but like it's not really for the fame, it's just we want to get up. And that was like for me an establishing moment to say, damn, I'm proud of myself. I can look back and say, you know, I am a part of the city. I made a significant impact in the city as far as arts and culture, because the city is growing so fast and it's become this commercial entity. Wynwood, Brickell, downtown, the old downtown is disappearing, and Wynwood has kind of, you know, eaten up this cultural whole vibe where it's a really cool place to go to. There's murals on the wall. I mean, it's like the Disneyland of street art. I'm kind of proud, but it's kind of bittersweet that I've been part of that, because it's become so mainstream that what it used to be, it isn't no more. But nevertheless, at least I can look back and, you know, be proud and say, you know what, I did this, and you know, not only did I, but also my counterparts that were with me on that journey. Kind of, we were all kind of learning, but we were like, yo, we can't let Miami not get famous off Miami people. So a lot of us put in a lot of hard work to kind of establish that neighborhood of what it is now that we're kind of left out. But that's cool, because when I look back as a graffiti writer, when I started, it wasn't about like me becoming famous. It was about me doing something that I loved, you know. And as long as I gave back to my community, which I have, I've done donations, etc. I've been part of those type of things. That's enough for me, you know. I got my job that pays me, so if art isn't gonna pay me, I can, you know, still have my job and still do this with no, like, you know, obligation to have to do it as well, you know. So, you know,
Yeah.
that wow moment, just being in the that those two chairs being part of Miami's history, like I've made myself proud, you know. So and you know, that's what it's about. Sometimes it's not about success. The success will come later, you know.
Yeah, I 100%. I mean, that's where I was thinking. Definitely being a part of the history, for a city that means so much to you, just to be able to represent it in a way that something you created out of, from scratch, out of just the ideas in your head, it can now live on in the part of the city's culture. That I mean, I could understand that has to be an amazing feeling. And when you speak to success is definitely relative to whoever is the person viewing it. Because for me, you know, coming from a music background, we were always programmed to think success was what we seen artists like a Jay-Z or like a Nas or 50 Cent, the level they got to because they became global icons and superstars. But you can look at an artist that maybe not have, achieved something as amazing as that. Like, I don't want to put anybody's name to make them seem like less than, but the success is relative to whoever, you know, is, the beauty is in the eyes of the beholder at that point. Because for me, at this point, where I'm at with production or any kind of content creation that I'm making, success for me would just be people recognizing the work that I've done. I don't need to pack a stadium full of 60,000 people to feel successful. 10 people recognizing one thing that I've did and liking it, to me that's success.
No, for sure. I mean, and you know, success may come later, or you know, you can just never know. You know, that's the way I feel. Like, I see opportunity in even the negative. You know, and it's important to stay on your grind and not try to do multiple things to try to be successful, right? Like,
Yeah.
focus on what you're good at. That's what I always tell, you know, people that want to learn. They're like, yo, I want to do this, I want to do that. Like just hey, just focus on one thing. Focus at what you feel you're best at and build on that and don't worry about success. Just, keep it going. Eventually you'll be known. Um and it is definitely a hard road when you take these different things and try to build on them. But it's crazy because like you said earlier, AI is the ultimate leap into cheating, right? But it
Yeah.
also AI itself is like also like it's crazy because you can probably like go to AI and ask who I am or who you are, and it'll come back with something. So I think that too is success in itself, right? You did
Yeah. You
some
put
work
enough
that
content.
exactly, which it sounds kind of crazy, but that's where we're at in timing now. So yeah, man, I feel you on that, man.
It's cool to hear because you mentioned success can come later. It just makes me think about the late great Quincy Jones and him making that Michael Jackson Thriller album. He had a interview, I believe, where he said he didn't become successful until he was 50 years old. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's wild.
he was making, he was a producer for years, and he just kept the main thing, like you said, focus on one thing. You can have a bunch of other talents, but you have to keep the main thing. And then he linked up with a young Michael Jackson, and then thus Thriller was born. He was 50 years old when that was created. So had he
Legendary.
pivoted, yeah, had he pivoted and felt like, man, this producing thing isn't going to work for me, we would have never had arguably one of the greatest albums of all time.
Not only that, I mean, the footage that Quincy Jones owns himself in hip hop that a lot of people don't know in the early days of the DVD days when they had the DVD beef. I'm not sure if you were aware of that. Like he owns all the footage in Beef 1, 2, and 3. And
Oh wow.
it's everybody from anybody. It's a Quincy Jones production. Um, and then down to, Kadada Jones being Tupac's girlfriend or wife, even wife, I believe, if I'm not
Hmm.
wrong. I mean, the dude has created a legacy that it,
Lives
it's
on forever.
amazing. Yeah, and it's an inspiration to, if you see his bio documentary on you can finally find it on stream, like it's just amazing what he's created and it's just kind of like a message, hey, like don't ever give up. It's gonna be hard. Um, it's gonna be hard climbing up that mountain. There's gonna be a lot of just times that you disappoint yourself, but you learn from that. You know, so that's cool that you
No,
mentioned him, man, because a lot of people don't realize how much his inspiration has you know been there for artists and what he's built that's allowing artists today to be able to be out there on the BET or the gala, et cetera, et cetera. You know?
yeah, 100%. It's I just learned something new. I never knew that those Beef DVDs were Quincy Jones production. I've grew up on the DVD with the 50 Cent versus Ja
Yeah.
Rule and then Nas versus Jay. But staying on something like that within the graffiti culture, is that prevalent? Is that a thing where, you know, there is beef where,
Yeah,
someone may tag over your thing? Like, what does that look like in this culture?
man. So there, don't quote me on the rules, but there's rules, and the first rule of thumb is like, be humble when you're a young buck. If you're learning like how we learn, just be humble, stay quiet, be cool with people. Go to art galleries, watch documentaries. Beef is inevitable. Like you're gonna run into beef. Um, in our days of writing, in our early days of writing, there was a lot of beef because that was the era where there was still gangs. So there was gangs that were doing tags and, those cultures kind of meshed. So if you were from one part of a town, as we kind of grew older, things kind of changed. There's not as much beef, but there is still beef. There's still dudes my age that are beefing for wars from back in the days because of, things that had happened that were really on a severe level. So that really, yeah, it really exists. But if you stay in your own lane and you kind of just do your thing, there's gonna be a little bit of beef. When you're a graffiti writer, you want to try to be kind of like a ninja, a Navy SEAL. You know, you want to get in and get out. You know, you don't want too many people to know who you are, and that's kind of like the whole mystery behind, graffiti writing. You know, there's some guys out here in Miami that they really really do it. They really really do it undercover. Nobody knows how they did it, and everybody's scratching their head like, damn, how did these guys do this? And like I spoke
Man,
earlier on the new culture where these dudes are like, hanging from the top of a roof and writing their name vertically on a 100-foot building. Like that's super inspirational. And but with that said, those guys do probably have beef. So beef is the thing that it'll never go away, unfortunately.
yeah, 100%. That's always been, and I was trying to figure out as I was preparing for this interview how to ask that question, but you kind of just explained it to me on without even knowing it was part of a struggle. Because I know this is a culture where anonymity and remaining anonymous is key. You know what I mean? You never really want to reveal too much about how you get stuff done because that influences other people to kind of now start doing what you're doing, but also even, you know, law. You don't ever want to get into a position where now you're wanted for some shit. So you answered my question hanging vertically. I always was amazed by seeing the different locations where people would write their names and write their tags, and it always baffled me of like, man, how were they able to do that? There's an area here in Houston on this freeway 45 North where there's a legendary artist, graffiti artist, goes by Be Someone. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with him in the Houston area, but it's this huge overpass where he has his Be Someone lit like tag there, and if you were to see the area you would just always question. And once I started realizing that this is a creative process, you do have admiration for just the risk that he took to do it, the time that he put in to do it, the time it took to figure out the process of even getting up there and doing it, how long it took. And then going back to the beef, there's been people that tagged over it to where it became huge within the city. And I've only been living in Houston for 10 years, so I can only imagine how much more that means to people that actually grew up in the town.
Yeah, man, that going over each other is like, even if the little tail of your tag goes over just a little section of somebody, like they catch beef. So, respecting the boundaries, but then, there's those dudes that they don't care. They're outlaws. So it's always, graffiti's is always a cat and mouse game. Even when you tread lightly, someone's gonna hate on you. And I mean, I think it keeps it very interesting. The dangerous part about it, like, that's the risk you take, the beefs, etc. I normally don't dabble in beef, but I will protect myself if I have to. And sometimes it's just interesting to see, you know, the wall will speak to you. Like you said, you see this dude that he gets up vertically, then somebody else comes and does a tag, and then like, that just creates for more people to come and kind of say, okay, this is a lit spot, homie, he's well recognized. Let's go ahead and go, let's go to his spot. So it's
Yeah.
kind of fun to watch at times. But the beef part, it's not really nice. You don't want to ever, experience that or be caught up in between that. But again, through your journey, and I think anything, whether it's for graffiti, hip hop, etc., you're gonna run through those people that don't like you, those people that'll try to sabotage you. So, it's always keeping a fine line between those things and being aware of everything, learning the right way, learning the rules, and that way you eliminate the beefs.
Yeah, comes with the territory. It's just I see so many correlations between music and hip hop and the graffiti. Um, just thinking about in rap, there was in the '90s Raekwon on the Purple Tape. Only built for Cuban links. He got the skit him and Ghostface did called Shark Biters, where biting people's styles and flows. That was a major thing in hip hop in the '90s. That was like a no no. You never wanted to step on somebody's toes by stealing their flow or stealing their cadences. It was frowned upon, and you just fast forward to where hip hop is now. There's so many different artists. It's almost impossible for anyone to really be unique of their own sound because it's originating from somewhere. But that leads me to ask you. Let's just say if graffiti art or sticker collage art were rap, can you see your style being represented by any specific rapper?
Man, I would say Wu-Tang. Like you hit it in the head with that purple tape. Like if you can go back and listen, the listeners and the listeners of the world, like if you want to take lessons in early hip hop underground rap, although they were mainstream, you need to go back and listen to Biggie. You need to go back to, Wu-Tang, their first tapes, the Built for Cuban Links. That was really like, for me, that was a deep album. That was really telling you the stories, how to move. It's funny, I was just talking to my boy, like, some of these albums that we listened to when we were growing up in the streets, just a bunch of knuckleheads like the Nas, the Illmatic, the, 36 Chambers. Like, if you really listen to a lot of that, like, a lot of that was actually being that voice, that positive voice that you didn't have speaking to you, because they were kind of like storytelling you, giving you the experience versus the rap now basically tells you to go out and do this. They were like, yo, you go
Yeah.
out and do this. But in the way that like Cuban Links is such a legendary album, and it's such a masterpiece that if you listen to it itself, it's kind of like a book, So that I would definitely see myself like a Wu-Tang. I
Yeah,
know
that's
that
what's
that's
up.
some old head shit. For real. I mean, there's so many names I can name. That's what I can never really put. Like I hate it when people ask me, "Oh, who are your best?" Like, how can you ask me that? I grew up on
Yeah.
Rakim. I grew up on BDP. I mean, I grew up on everybody. Even nowadays, it's hard for even like for me to even pick my favorite. Although there's some I can push to the side, right? We know those artists that we were like, nah, we good. But like, I can never pick a favorite. The Jay-Z is not
Yeah.
my top. I'm sorry. um, I listened to very little Jay Z. I did listen to him. I ain't gonna front, but like if I have to put him up there, like there's so many, and I'm sure you can agree with that.
Yeah, it's almost it's unfair to try to make you pick just one because music is such a subjective thing, and it does depend on where you are in your life when you listen to this music, how it
For sure.
affects you.
Like, listen,
So
I grew up, I was I know you said I was from New York, but I kind of was. I grew up. I was born in Miami, like the real Miami, and had always lived in between Puerto Rico, New York, and Miami. As I got older, I grew up like I started growing up in this neighborhood called Hialeah, all the Cubans and Colombians, etc. And it was cool because I saw the birth of hip hop at that moment. I saw the
yeah,
b-boys and the rappers and the DJs and stuff like that. So I believe we were sharing cultures all at the same time, which is really, really cool about this. And then like I mean, I feel like what hip hop is like 50 years old already or something like that.
yeah, it's
Um,
like 52 now,
yeah, so it's
51.
like, it even became bigger than country music. So it's been a great journey to be part of all that and experience all of that. And like you said, like depending where you are demographically, you from Houston, you knew you was listening to Swisher House, Michael Watts, all them dudes, the West Coast, from the West Coast, had, Dr. Dre and them. Then you go to the Bay, you got Tupac, you got Spice One, and we went to Detroit with Eminem. Like man, we really really had it good musically through those times. Now it's changed a little bit.
Yeah, no, 100%. It has changed, and it's similar to back then, but because there's so many different outlets to get your music out there and so many different ways to be mainstream without really achieving
Musical
the
success.
the success. Because back in the days, and this is funny, I'll be 35 in October, so for me even saying back in the days sounds crazy,
It
but
does, it does.
I remember there was like a barrier of entry to even be able to be known as an artist, as a rapper. You had to literally be the best of the best from your area, then go to the label and be the best there. Nowadays there's and it's a gift and a curse. I love it and hate it at the same time because it opens up the door for so many other talented people to express themselves. But with that, it also creates this weird line of not really knowing who's good and who's not good
That's very true.
because there's so many different ways to judge the music nowadays. It isn't just based off your talent and how you can flow and making you say, "Oh, damn, you heard what he just said?" Now it's what is he dressing like? Who's his girlfriend for the week? What kind of
Yeah.
car he has? I'm not
Yep.
into that, but that is what the younger generation respects. So it's
Exactly.
it's 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 interesting just to see how far it's changed from,
Yeah.
what
And
the
then
origins were.
the whole designer, I'm like, man, how, these young kids, how they come wearing all this designer? There's no way, like, designer this, designer that, designer car. Like it's really become about, what you can have if you got that money versus like, oh, yo, he's got a dope skit in between that dope song and that next dope song, like the Purple Tape had, you don't hear that no more. You don't hear
Man,
skits and they're telling you stories. Like now it's just like it sounds all like the same thing, you know?
it's funny you mentioned that because, like I said, I consider myself an artist in all like every facet. Like I produce my own music, I rap here and there. I've put out one project, but I took it down off of streaming because it wasn't mixed. It wasn't my best showcasing of what I can do. I loved it and I loved the creation of it, but I think I enjoyed the creation of the project more so than the final piece. But even within that, I had skits, and it's funny because Ja Rule recently came out and say, "Hey man, like bring back skits. What happened to skits? Skits was a part of the album where you got somewhat of a break from the music to see another side of the artist that you were becoming a fan of."
Yep.
I don't think people that are making music are in a position to even make skits because there's so much competition that they're up against with the next person or a streamer that may be taking someone's attention. They are almost like feeling as if they don't have the position to even express themselves creatively. They just have to keep up.
Yep.
Put
Yep.
out another song, put out another song, put out another song. It has to be tough.
I kind of feel like when people learn that Pac did all those albums, that became like a thing, like in the future, right? Like I'm gonna go in the studio and I'm just gonna make a whole bunch of fucking songs, and then we're gonna break them up into mixtapes because for what he did when he came out of prison and how he just kind of like continued to blow up. And I mean that was given thanks to like him working hard in the studio, right? Not that just because you're in the studio all the time, it equates to you working hard, but I think that kind of became a thing where if you're an artist that is not really that good, you just kind of water yourself down. You know, it takes time to come up with a style. As a graffiti writer, I can even nevertheless in rap. Like I've been part of some. I got my homie. He's got a rap group, Underground Ciphers. I wouldn't say I'm an artist, but he would hit me up every now and then. Yo, do like a little skit or like say this or say that, and he would record it and put it in the song. And even then, I didn't feel comfortable because I'm like, damn, is this something I really want to do? But again, I was doing it to support my boy and his project, and I kind of felt, yo, if he's asking me for something, then he finds some type of talent I don't see in myself. But it's hard to develop that. And I think if
Yeah,
you overdevelop yourself and you don't have the right people around you, you're just going in the studio making mixtapes or you're at home making using Fruity Loops and stuff like that, like you may kind of water yourself down. So just taking your time in the process is very important. You know what I mean? And it'll create success,
100%. 100%. I think just working on your craft is the main important part of the entire conversation we've been having. Just whatever you're doing, just making sure you put in the time to perfect it. not
Right.
really focusing too much on the success portion or the outcome. Once you find fun and excitement in the process, I think that's when you end up getting to that level of success, because now you're not really worried about, oh man, who's going to see this? Is this going to get views? You already fell in love with the creation of it. So at the end result, you've already probably moved on to what your next project is. So you don't
For
even have
sure.
time to think about what the previous one does. But since we got into the hip hop aspect of it, talked about, some of your creations, and, I'm going to most likely, once we put this out for the people here so they can digest it, I'm going to make sure I showcase everything we mentioned that you've created just so they can get an actual visual representation of it. But just coming up on an hour here, we can kind of finish off soon. Do you have already, or have you ever thought about making your own line of like markers or like specific merch outside of the stickers?
Yeah, actually, I do have like little sites where I have like shirts you can get. Um, you know, T Public, I believe. Um, but you can also reach out to me through Instagram at what WHUT 213 and just, ask me questions. I always figure something out. If you need a painting, you need a shirt, and you really want it, I got you. I'll figure it out. Um, we used to have a brand called Brilliant Minds. We tried to start a brand for like 2 years. It became kind of like a headache. It was hard. It was a lot of money and work. We tried it. It failed, but nevertheless, I just kept it running with the stickers. And with the stickers, I kind of felt like, that itself is a brand. It's the best way to have a business card. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not just a business card with your phone number, something creative. So in the sticker world, that's how we kind of like use each other as like, yo, now we connected. So I'll come up to you, yo, two, what's up? And then I give you a what sticker, you give me a two sticker. Boom, we follow each other on Instagram, and whenever we need to connect, we already know where to connect. So it's also a unique way to promote yourself. You can get them out there, and it's a lot of fun. Stickers is an easy way to get your brand and your name out in front of people. It's been fun. There's times I give people stickers, and next thing you know, I see a little kid walking around with his sticker on my shirt, and I'm like, "Yo, what a way to promote!" He's got it over the little polo horse or over his little logo, whatever he has, and I'm like, "Yo, that's cool." He's a walking, living little sticker graffiti guy. So that's pretty
Yeah,
dope
that's
too,
that's
man.
dope.
Yeah, man.
That's dope, man. That's dope for 100%, man. Hey, so I want to, before we get up out of here, just show you as much as, and just for the record, people just listening, watching this, we haven't known each other for that long. It's been maybe like 2 weeks, maybe a month. I would say the month would be the longest portion, but the respect is what always allows people to, just to feel comfortable sharing their stories. So I do want to just show you this really quickly, just to show you what the inspiration has done. It's not the best, but it's something that what I mean, after you showed me yours, I felt like, I said, man, I'm interested in doing that. So let's take a look at this.
That's dope. Yeah. Hey, man, turn it around. Oh, you got Pez on. You see the little fish guy flip when you flip it over on the other side. The little
Oh,
fish
right
guy.
here.
I know that dude, real good, cool dude. I believe he's from Brazil. Don't quote me on that. I met, through
Wow.
my journey in Wynwood, I met all these guys, and we've traded stickers. And one of my best friends, he's Japanese, and he's plugged me with mad guys. So it's good to be able to like inspire you to do your own thing, and that's what it's about, man.
Yeah,
That's what it's
bro. It's
about.
cool.
All you
Cool.
need
I got
is
the book.
oh, you got that book, cool. All you need is like a
Yeah.
good pair of scissors, and yeah, it's interesting because the laptops has always been super popular. Like
100%.
the dude that wrote "Stuck a Piece of Crap" Part 1 and Part 2, DB Cooper. He writes, books, and he documents the sticker culture. He introduced me to Tristan Eaton's brother, Matt, and as I was talking to Matt during an art gallery show years ago, he's like, "Yo," I gave him a sticker. He's like, "Yo, you're my sticker." He's like, "Yo, you know that I have like a whole bunch of laptops that I haven't thrown away just because of the stickers that are on there." So like, you can see how important it is to some of us certain
100%.
stickers. Like I got stickers from people that have passed away. I'll never give those away, and hopefully I
Yeah.
can eventually find some time to really put them together in books and document them, because it's important to document our culture. Like, we can't get away from, like, putting our foot in the culture and, like, documenting it, whether it's video, audio, visually, because, for the next generation, that's what's going to help them kind of say, oh, wow, they were doing this. That's dope. And like I inspired you, that's going to inspire them. So it's makes me happy to see that. That's dope.
Yeah, man. Each one teach one, like you said, specific for sure. Just you never really know what one thing somebody may find interest in and want to find their outlet to do it as well. As much as you have the vinyl that you did, people do the laptops, you did the surfboard. I've never seen that. It might inspire somebody that that's coming up under me that's young to might do like a VHS tape collage of stickers, or a KRK rocket monitor for like their studio, their speaker system, just with stickers. You never know. It's just
No,
it's
and
it's a
and
beautiful
nowadays
thing.
with the technology with rapping, you know how, like, everybody that buys a Tesla and wraps it. Everybody that buys they're a rapper, they buy the truck and they wrap it. You know, you can take these collages and scan them. You can create a collage on a scanner, scan it, have them blow it up, and you can wrap your car with that. That's amazing. Because
Oh yeah, for
here
sure.
I'll be putting one sticker by one sticker on a car when you can just have that, you have an original image of some scans and boom. And I haven't seen that yet, and I probably threw it out there, and that's cool. Sometimes you got to give back to the world, and share that energy for free. But like the surfboard, again, like that if you see it in person, it looks like it's under glass marble, because it's just
It has a shine.
it has a shine, there's depth, and man, that's an awesome piece. So, like, I would love to see the next evolution of whatever that may be, from the next generation. And my kids, it's funny, my boys, they're 20, 21, and 26, and they all got a love for stickers, and they all got my art in their rooms. You know what I'm saying? Like, they personally, when they were younger and they saw me getting it, they were like, "Yo, pops, make me a piece of art." And while I'm making art, it's just easier to continue to make another piece, because you're in the rhythm. So they got pieces that will live with them forever. And most of the stuff I had that was mine, I always try to sell it because I feel like it doesn't do me any good to hold on to it and sell it. So the surfboard's for sale. If anybody ever inquires, they can hit you up, and you tap in, and we work on something.
Yeah, 100%. I'll definitely put it up. Let people know it's for sale. Hey man, I just appreciate your time here, brother. This was a fun convo.
For
For
sure,
sure,
man. Thank
down the
you.
line, figure out some other ways to do it. Maybe we can definitely get, once I get my setup correct the next time, have a live actual conversation. But let me just clap it up really quickly. This was dope. Dope conversation.
I appreciate it, man. I'm humbled. It makes me, kind of gives me a little inspiration to keep going at it. So I,
100%,
I, I
man.
appreciate the interest, the fact that you're much younger and we can kind of connect. That's great. Again, I got adult boys, so they kind of keep me in the loop of things. So I'm a little blessed with
Yeah.
that. But then also having someone from your generation show respect and invite me on your show, I appreciate that. And you can always welcome me, and when I have the time, I'm definitely down to do it, man. And you got my private number. You know where to connect with me through all angles. So I definitely appreciate you, brother, and thank you so much.
No problem, man. No problem. One more time before we get up out of here, tell the people where they can find you.
So you can find me on Instagram at hashtag or at WHUT213. And I mean, if you're lazy, just go ahead and Google me on Google, what 213, and I'm sure you'll find a plethora of different things that you can connect to me. I have a Facebook fan page. I got my Instagram. I got my TikTok. I'm usually between TikTok and Instagram, and you can always find me direct through an email as well at bmsubcrew@gmail.com. Tap in for questions, whatever. And if you can't reach me, reach to my brother too. He got you too. He'll reach directly to me. And again, man, thank you, man. Humbled.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Happy 4th, everybody. We out. We out.
Peace, man. Thank you so much. Hey, let me give one shout out. Shout out to my brother Lex and my brother Michael, Griselda Blanco's son. Check out his podcast on YouTube, the Blanco Podcast. Big ups to him. And big ups to all my homies and the Buddha Monk Blunt Masters crew. Definitely respect too for letting me get on, and y'all have a good 4th of July, man. Thank you and peace.
Peace, peace. Chit, 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 chit. Chit, 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 chit. W interview. WHUT, my guy. W interview. I got to do this a lot more. We coming up at the end of this stream. I cannot believe we got our first interview out of the way. Clap it up for that, man. Lick a shot for Big Papa in heaven. My guy, what? And the interview, what we said? What?